Melanie, let's start with your first food memory.
So my first food memory that I've got to share today is about the greatest meal I feel like I've still ever had, Sava. Like it's still the greatest meal I have ever had in my life. And it was when I was about 22 or 23. I was traveling with my two best friends. We lived in London and I had just had a really, really busy season of a show. And I just wanted a holiday, like a relaxing holiday. I'm one of those people, Sava, with holidays. I just want to go somewhere by a beach and eat good food. I'm not, sadly, I wish I was more of a backpacker, sort of,
Ew.
backpackers.
Why?
No, I have actually never stayed in a backpackers in my entire life. Like even with all my traveling, I'm such a not a baby, but I just really like nice things. So I had planned for these two friends of mine who are backpackers, for the three of us to just stay in an all-inclusive resort in Portugal and just be by a pool. And we got there, and they're like, "There is no way we're spending a week in Portugal at this place. There's no way. Come on, we're going to hire a car. We're getting out of here." So we did that, and we ended up sleeping in our car as we travelled for a week around Portugal rather than stay at this all-you-can-eat inclusive I'd found on the Algarve, which was a bit average, but still.
But back then there was no internet back then. You'd find it on the back of the
No,
newspaper, wouldn't you? In the travel, like there'd be
exactly.
ads and
Yeah,
ads and
exactly.
ads
I
and
just got
ads.
it. Yeah, like in TNT magazine, not even in TNT magazine, like probably at a travel agent. And all I wanted was they had one of my favorite foods in the world are Ruffles chips. You know Ruffles chips? Do you remember those?
Yes, yes.
I
The,
love them.
the
So I
crinkle
just
cut,
wanted
yep.
Ruffles. Yep, crinkle cut. They're the best. Ruffles chips and Portuguese tarts by a pool. I would have been happy. And they were like, "No, we're going on the road." So we ended up in this place called Lagos, which is by the seaside, and we found this little restaurant inside, and it was all grilled fresh seafood, like
Oh,
straight from the ocean. And the thing that I remember, and that I went back, like we went there for lunch, and then I insisted we go back there for dinner again, and it was just as good. You know how that never happens when you go back somewhere; it's never as good the second time. And it was grilled sardines, and they just grilled these full, fat, chunky sardines with salt, and I have been chasing that meal my entire life since, Summer. I've never had grilled fat sardines like that since, and I've tried.
roll me in sardines and feed me to the circus clowns. I am send
You
in the
love sardines
clowns.
too.
I could actually eat them till they came out of my nose. Like
Oh,
I adore them. I like them in oil. I like them on the
oh,
barbecue. I like them with parsley. I like them with. You can't get enough lemon, and I'm often when I'm eating them in Europe. It's the summer, and there's no lemons around, right? So the lemons are
yeah,
scarce or they're very dry.
yeah.
Jesus, I love a sardine. Keep going. Sorry, it's
Oh,
your
how do you
memory.
do it? How do you do your sardine when you cook them?
Well, grill. I put them in
Yeah,
between there's like a schara, which we call, and you on the hot coals and you
yeah.
charcoal them
Just whole.
until whole. Absolutely, obviously you
Yeah.
gut them, and then I once they come with lots of olive oil, and then once they come off the schara, the grill, I eat the skin. I chew through the
Yeah,
head.
so
I chew actually
gross.
through everything except for the
Yum.
bones, and then I just sit there. Please don't speak to me while I'm doing it because it's like surgery. But sardines and parsley and
Oh
oil and
my God.
lemon, it's the best thing on
It's
earth.
the best ever. And yes, after we finish talking to each other today, I'm going to go down to the Marrickville seafood place and try and get some sardines and try for that 1800th time to reproduce those sardines from Portugal and fail, but try. You know what I'm saying?
Well, your second memory is about
Yes.
going over to someone's house.
Yes. So when I was a teenager, I lived half an hour from the biggest town and I had singing lessons every Wednesday night. And um, what I would do is I would go to one of my besties' house, different bestie from the one that
The bad driver
smashed
bestie.
the arm. Yeah. And this one, I would go to her house and I would have dinner. And then someone in her family would drop me at my singing lesson. Then my father would drive from our country town and pick me up. And those Wednesdays were like some of the happiest of my life because my friend's family was very functional, like very, very functional. Their
Describe
house
what's
had a
functional. Just
functional,
go in.
like they all got on really well. The mum was sort of like like she cooked cakes and things like that. They had a fridge that had an ice machine. They all got on. They didn't fight. There was no fighting in the house. Like they were just a really sort of nice family. Plus, I was in love with the elder brother, who was a few years older. It was just, and he played the piano some afternoons. It was just wonderful. And they always, the mum cooked all this really sort of healthy food. Like my parents, it was a bit different because they both worked really hard in our pub and our supermarket. So they weren't really at home all that much. And dinner was very much like chops and, which, I love chops and macaroni cheese from Kraft and, like some peas and some carrots that had the shit cooked out of them, that sort of thing. And so this place to me was like a restaurant. It was the first place I ever had a salad with just, it must have had just olive oil on it. Just tasted to me like it had salt water on the leaves, coating it gently. It didn't have French Island dressing all over it. And it wasn't iceberg lettuce. It was kind of, anyway, this place, I remember this one night we sat down and they announced we were going to have fish. And I thought, oh my God, I hate fish. But I didn't hate it because I'd never had it before. I was 16 or 17 and I'd never had fish, or I think I had prawns probably, but never had fish. And I thought, what am I going to do? I'm going to offend these people that are so nice to me, who I love so much, who I'd sort of really latched onto. And the mother of this house served up this grilled fish with salad. And I thought, well, I need to be polite and just try it. You know what I mean? Pretend that I'm into fish and maybe I can eat,
Do you remember the fish?
Oh my God. I think it was some sort of white fish. It must have been cod or barramundi, I think now. In my head, it's barramundi, but I think it was probably a cod. And it was just grilled perfectly. And I had a bite of it. And I just thought I was in heaven. And I remember going home to my mum saying, why don't we ever have fish? Can we have fish? And then we started to have sort of, fish, like crumbed fish from the bird's eye, which is still delicious. I still love that. But this particular fish that day at my friend's house, I think really opened me up to a life of trying new foods, but also like how really, like it was so simple. It was just grilled under a griller or something like that, with this salad with the olive oil on it, which I've still never been able to make as deliciously as my friend's mother. And it was like life-changing. It was so life-changing.
Let's move on to your third food memory.
So this is a recent one, and I think it has a lot to do with my new kind of acceptance of food and the wanting to share it, and also the little old lady that's inside me. So I absolutely, like if I was going out for an afternoon, which is what I would prefer to do rather than a night, Sava, as we've established earlier. I love to go for an afternoon tea, where there's beautiful sandwiches and, maybe a scone or something like that. And I was talking to a friend of mine about this. I thought we should just have a CWA afternoon. And so I cooked up a heap of, I used to be a very good scone maker when I was younger. I used to win second prize at the Robertson show with them. So I cooked up some scones and some sandwiches and got some, teas and cups of tea and stuff like that. And we all sat around and had this really civilized afternoon tea. And it was really beautiful because it was just in between lockdowns. So it was at a time when I think that we were all really appreciating being together. I know, and being in a room with had the most more than 3 people. Jam, and I had whipped the cream myself and all of that kind of stuff. I'd really sort of made it very, very old, very much like Norma, this person I was telling you about before that had been a big influence in our lives. It was a real Norma afternoon. In fact, when Norma died, I got all of her cups and saucers and little plates. And so I used all of them, they're all mismatched and beautiful. And so I sort of laid it all out like that. And it was really just such a special time.
What were some of the fillings in these CWA sandwiches?
I think it's very important to point out that, of course, they're all buttered. Like, don't come near me with a sandwich that's not buttered, Saba. Don't you think? Like, don't...
Butter or margarine?
No, butter. Don't come near me. I mean, if you don't have any butter, you've got to marge it rather than having it dry as some... I just cannot believe how many times you go to a shop for a sandwich and they're dry bread. Anyway, So butter, and then of course I had to have some cucumber sandwiches because, you know, that's what we were doing. I also had egg, egg curry,
Oh, with Keen's curry powder.
of course, and mayonnaise in it, all mixed together. And the other filling I had was salmon, French onion, and mayonnaise all mixed together, slopped on the sandwich. It was a very special, special afternoon of sandwich. So that would be my third food memory because it's just so simple and delicious and lovely.